So a lot of people seem to be mixed on the possibility of the iMac launching at the next April event. And of course today I thought I'd compile all the information, tidbits, evidence, anything I can find that supports my theory that yes, we are seeing at least one new iMac at the spring loaded event, which of course is taking place on the 20th. Right, so the most credible information that supports my theory that yes, we could see new iMacs at this event is Mark Gurman, because of course, this guy, he's an incredibly reliable Apple leaker, and he said yesterday that there is a chance we could see new iMac desktops at this April event. Now do note, Mark actually said a while back that he believed we could see iMacs toward the end of the year, and in fact with other reports regarding April releases, he only mentioned the iPad Pro and AirTags, but now he clearly says there is a chance we could see iMacs. And so yes, I do think that he has been hiding this information from us, but now he's revealed it because he's pretty sure that yes, the launch of these new iMacs will take place. The next tidbit is actually within Apple's own software. So you might remember I mentioned this before, but in macOS 11.3 beta, there's references to 2 new Macs. And in addition to that, we also saw an unreleased Apple Silicon iMac land in an Xcode crash log. Now do note, the app in question that this iMac was allegedly using is Daft Cloud, I believe, which is some sort of SoundCloud built for the Mac, I think. So clearly that means that someone in Apple's HQ is actively using this machine, possibly as their daily driver since they're listening to music on it. And so that tells me this product is ready for release. And do note, in this same beta period, we saw references to the iPad Pro in iOS 14.5 beta, and we are pretty sure we will see the iPad Pros at this event. And so clearly, whatever is mentioned in the beta are products that we can expect to launch at the event. And to make things even more bait, I noticed Colleen Novilli, I believe that's how you say her name, but either way, she is the marketing manager behind the iMac. She's head of marketing for the iMac, and clearly she responded to Greg's tweet on, of course, the Apple event. And as far as I can see, this person is not very active on Twitter, and so they don't really usually react to, of course, event announcements. But the fact they did for this one leads me to believe that they will be at the event presenting the new iMac. Now let's delve into the invite itself for the event, because of course, Apple traditionally has given us clues and hints within the invite, and I do think there are a few hints to a new iMac. Now these might seem a little far-fetched, but bear with me. So spring loaded. The word spring at face value does of course refer to the fact that this event is taking place in spring, but there is also another meaning because spring could be referring to the iPad Air ad with springs, and that of course would make a connection with the new iMacs, because you might remember that John Prosser told us that we can see new iMacs launch in colors that are very similar to the color palettes we see with the iPad Air. The next tidbit are the colors themselves within the Apple logo, which of course has a very strong resemblance to the colors we saw with the iMac G3. And obviously the return of colors is clearly a nostalgia trick from Apple, because of course, the new colors are supposed to remind us of those days with the iMac G3 and the colors we used to have, because of course, since then, the iMac has only been available in one color, and so this is pretty much Apple hinting at the fact they're going back in time to, of course, the 90s, and they're giving us the colors back. The next clue is very far-fetched, but it does actually make some sense. So basically, if you turn the Apple logo in the invite upside down, you might notice something very familiar, and that is the EL in the Apple logo resembles the font used for the hello from the Macintosh. And in case you don't know, the Macintosh was a huge release for Apple back in 1984, and it was one of the first mass-market computers to have the graphical user interface, which is basically what we use right now, and so definitely the Macintosh has had a huge impact on humanity as a whole. But anyways, coming back to how this refers to the new iMac, obviously the Macintosh represents a new chapter for Apple, and so much like that, the new iMacs represent a new generation of Macs because, of course, unlike the M1 machines, this is going to be the first Mac with a proper redesign, and it's going to have hardware specifically built for Apple Silicon, and so this is really going to be a huge deal, and undoubtedly is the first step in a whole new generation of Macs. And of course, there is the fact we haven't seen a proper redesign to the iMac since 2012, I believe, so yeah. This is going to be a huge release either way, and I can understand why Apple isn't making comparisons to the Macintosh because, yes, it will change the way we think about the iMac. So there's really one question left, and that is, are we seeing the 24-inch and 32-inch iMac at the event? So for reference, there were actually two models that were referred to in the beta. It was J456 and J457, which of course initially leads me to believe that it could be the 24-inch and 32-inch iMac. But I'm not too sure about the bigger iMac coming at this event because I am pretty sure Apple's going to keep the same strategy they have right now, where they give us 3 tiers of the iMac, a base model, a slightly more powerful version of the smaller model, and then of course the biggest, most powerful model. And so my thinking is that because the 21.5-inch iMac has not been updated in over a year now, I am pretty sure we're seeing updates to that line only for the time being, and then of course the more powerful 27-inch iMac will eventually get replaced by a 32-inch iMac later in the year, possibly alongside a Mac Pro Mini. And also do note, the 27-inch iMac was the last Intel refresh we had, that was in August, and so really there is no rush for Apple to release the bigger version of the iMac since it was recently updated, whereas the smaller iMac is in urgent need of a refresh. And another thing to note is that the base 21.5-inch iMac and the 4K versions of the 21.5-inch iMac have different model numbers, and so that could explain why we have references in macOS beta to 2 new iMacs. Maybe an M1 version of the 24-inch iMac, and then of course the M1X versions replacing the 4K 21.5-inch iMacs we have today. And I did check the Apple Store for delivery times to see how things are, and by the way, the base iMac in the UK has been pushed back quite significantly to around 30th of April to 10th of May. So that is a huge delay, and that of course could refer to a new base 24-inch iMac that could launch with an M1. As for the other iMacs, there really is no delay. They ship as soon as Friday in some instances, but I do want to say that shipping times aren't always accurate. For example, the iPad Pros that we know for sure are coming at this event are shipping as soon as Friday too, and so there clearly seems to be a surplus of inventory at Apple, which I guess does make sense because a lot of us are clearly not buying anything right now because we're waiting for these new releases next week. So yes, that is a lot of information, but that's pretty much everything I could find on the iMacs launching as soon as next week. But let me know in the comments below, what do you think? Do you think we'll see a new iMac? If so, do you think we're seeing the bigger one too? Or do you think we're seeing the 24-inch size for the time being? Anyways, thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe for the latest Apple news and rumors. Check out the video in the icon above about everything we can expect to see at this April event. And on that note, I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya, peeps.